Shepard alongside Spencer Linton, and joining us now, very happy to have the voice of the Baylor Bears, John Morris. John, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. We appreciate it.
You bet, Jason. Great to be on with you. Spencer, welcome to Waco. Hope to have a little more sunshine for you tomorrow. It's going to be perfect tomorrow. It's supposed to be a high in the low 70s and sunshine. I mean, we want BYU to feel welcome when you come to Waco, so we're going to roll out the red carpet weather-wise tomorrow.
Well, I will be back in, I think, 40-degree weather there, John. So I'll probably have a few more layers than maybe you guys will in Waco. But you touched on something. You have been a big proponent of BYU joining the Big 12. Now that that is official and it's happening in 2023, how was that news received in the Waco area and among the Baylor fans?
Well, and I love it, and congratulations, and can't wait till BYU is a full member, of the Big 12 in a couple of years. Disappointing that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving. We've got a great, long-standing rivalry with both those schools, especially Texas, 100 miles down the road in Austin. I mean, that goes back to, the early 1900s that we've been playing Texas in every sport. So, hate to see them go, but they've made their decision, and, good riddance. Just go, and we're going to move forward, and I think it's a very positive step moving forward to add the 4 schools like BYU and Houston and Cincinnati and UCF. I'm really excited about it. I prefer to look at the positives of that, and the 4 new schools that are coming into the Big 12 and the new rivalries we'll have with schools like BYU. So I'm really looking forward to it as we move on into the future.
John, we're already seeing the welcome from Baylor University and several local establishments in the area welcoming BYU with official signs, which is a very cool thing. When the game happens tomorrow, however, obviously it becomes about business, and you got a couple of 5-1 teams. BYU is very hungry and motivated after a frustrating home loss to Boise State. Baylor is a team that knows BYU well, with offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes being at BYU just last year, along with offensive line coach Eric MATEOS. When you think about that coaching change and the shift from offensive coordinator at BYU to Baylor with Jeff Grimes, how much of an advantage does that create for the Bears as they prepare for BYU tomorrow?
It's huge, and man, we are so glad to have Jeff Grimes and Eric MATEOS, and then MATEOS, one of our quality control coaches, came from BYU. He's here also. Nice backdrop, by the way, Spencer. You've got a better backdrop than I do, and we're both in Waco.
Thank you.
But it is so great to have them here. And you guys can appreciate what quality men they are and what quality coaches they are. And it has just completely revitalized our offense. Baylor last year really struggled offensively, and the record showed at 2-7. So Coach Aranda, give him credit. He knew he needed to make changes and went out and identified Coach Grimes and Coach MATEOS and got them to come here. And last year, for example, Baylor was running the ball like 90.3 yards per game. That was it, last in the league, dead last, and knew they had to be better at that. So bring in the wide zone offense and what Coach Grimes and Coach MATEOS are doing. And we're, I think, 3rd in the league in rush offense right now, and have been number 1 in the league and top 10 in the nation earlier this year. So it has really been very refreshing and revitalizing for our offense, and the numbers show it. So give those guys a lot of credit, and give our players credit for buying into that new system and then performing it really, really well so far.
John Morris, the voice of the Baylor Bears, joining us here on BYU Sports Nation. And John, you may have just answered the question right there in terms of the way that the offense has improved from last year, and certainly the numbers that are being put up. But as Spencer mentioned, both teams 5-1, both teams very good programs. From your perspective, what do you believe is the reason, or maybe the biggest reason, for the 5-1 start for Baylor?
Yeah, well, Jason, that's a big part of it. Just the improvement in offense, and just having a pulse on offense is an improvement this year, and it's much more than that. But that is a huge part of it. And then defensively, we have 10 starters back, so that defense has just taken another step forward. Under Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, no change in the coaches on the defensive side, no change in the system defensively, and some really good players, another year back, a lot of seniors on that defensive side. So that's a couple of things, and then just the full season that we've had. It wasn't fair to Coach Aranda last year to have his first year as a head coach, the COVID protocols, no spring practice, meeting his players over Zoom, all of that. So it's been just, a more regular season this year, leading into the year, through fall camp, and into the season so far. So I think it's the natural progression you would like to see for a head coach and his staff in their second year.
John, as you look at BYU coming off the loss to Boise State, and the Cougars are a 6-point underdog at McLean Stadium against Baylor tomorrow, what's the biggest concern for Baylor as they face this BYU team in terms of schematically preparing for this Cougars team?
Well, you guys mentioned it earlier. Jeff Grimes and Coach MATEOS may have some intrinsic knowledge about BYU. I think BYU's got some knowledge about what Coach Grimes wants to do also, right? That sort of goes both ways. So I think that's a bit of a concern. Coaches will change up some signaling and some, calls at the line of scrimmage. They'll do that knowing that BYU might know the terminology that these coaches used when they were there at Provo. So that's one thing, but just, great respect for BYU. And Coach Aranda has talked about, the veteran guys that they have and the older guys that they have on their team and how much of an advantage that is. Jaron Hall looks like he's going great. I mean, he's going to be another in a string of really good quarterbacks we have already seen this year. And then Tyler Algiers, some teams have run the ball pretty effectively against Baylor. So Algiers is going to be a real key, trying to slow him down or keep him in check, to some level in the game tomorrow.
John, that's perfect. And what I wanted to ask you next, I wanted to ask you about the defense and giving up the rushing yards. Now, obviously, it hasn't affected the team in terms of wins and losses, but how much of a concern is that moving forward, that even though Baylor's continuing to win these games, teams are running the ball against the defense?
Yeah, a concern and legitimate, but it's kind of, in our league, you'll see that it's pick your poison. Some schools may run the ball very effectively. I mean, TCU had 400 rushing yards last week in a win over Texas Tech. 400 rushing yards, and we have seen some of that against Baylor this year. But then, if you sell out to stop the run, what does that open up on the backside? So it's got to be a complete team effort defensively. Again, Algiers is going to be a real key, slowing him down tomorrow, keeping him, within a reasonable number of yards. And but then our backside defensively, our defensive backs are really good, veteran guys. They're all fourth, fifth, sometimes sixth-year guys back there in the secondary. So it's got to be a total team effort defensively to have a chance in this game against BYU.
John Morris, the play-by-play voice of the Baylor Bears, is with us on BYU Sports Nation. John, you can see from the stadium set up behind me and just the overall area, this is an amazing place for a college football game. It's the homecoming celebration for Baylor. You were keen to point out last time we talked to you just how important it is to the community here. What can BYU fans that are making the trip to Waco expect from the homecoming celebration and setup tomorrow when they come to the game?
Oh, yeah, that's great, Spencer. Spencer, you got an invitation. Come join us like 8 a.m. tomorrow for the parade. You want to do that? We've got a big homecoming parade tomorrow morning. I hear you. Yeah, I don't want to, but I will be there tomorrow morning. But it's just homecoming is just special at Baylor. Some schools it's sort of passé and it's not a big deal. But let me tell you, it is a really big deal here at Baylor. There's so much history and tradition, and we like to welcome our alums to come back, to come back home to Baylor. Baylor has the oldest homecoming of any school in the nation, goes back to 1909, and we're proud of that. We do a lot of things. It's kind of a week-long celebration of events. Tonight we'll have a pep rally and bonfire, and Coach Aranda will be there. RG3 is going to make an appearance at the pep rally coming up tonight. And then the parade is bright and early tomorrow morning from downtown Waco right through the heart of campus. And it's unbelievable the number of people that are there on campus that come back and make it a point to be there for the parade. So, and then we go into the game, and in my mind, the game is the centerpiece of the entire homecoming week. And what a great matchup with BYU we have for that. So all that to say, I think our fans will be very welcoming of BYU and their fans. President Worthen is riding in the homecoming parade tomorrow, so I think that's a really cool deal. And I think we'll have some pregame welcomes and presentations. Then it's all business when we kick off. You guys understand that, right?
Yeah, we certainly know this is a big game for both. John, this may be the most important question I ask you. Are Chip and Joanna going to be at the game tomorrow? Because that's what a lot of people want to know.
Sure, good question. Inquiring minds want to know. They have a suite at McLean Stadium, and most often they are here. So for homecoming, and they're both Baylor grads, I'm guessing they'll both be here. But to be honest, Chip and I haven't texted in the last couple of days. I don't know that for sure.
John, great stuff. Thank you so much. And the fact that you can text Chip Gaines makes me extremely jealous right now. Great stuff as always. Appreciate the insight. I will talk to you tomorrow on radio pregame, so you're not done with me. But thank you so much. And I think we're all expecting a good one tomorrow. Thanks, John.
I think it's going to be a great matchup. Jason, Spencer, thank you guys very much. And we really are excited to have BYU here and to have BYU coming in as a member of the Big 12 Conference.
Thank you very much. John Morris, the voice of the Baylor Bears. Just hearing other people talk about the fact that BYU is joining the Big 12, even this many weeks, after, it just brings a smile to my face. I am so excited about that. And this is obviously our first taste of it. This is going to be really cool.